It is a Wednesday evening in July. You are trying to eat dinner at the kitchen table. In the last 10 minutes, you have waved your hand over your plate 4 times. Your youngest child has refused to eat because a fly landed on their food. Your spouse gets up and closes the window, but the room is 90 degrees and closing the window makes it worse. You open it again. The fly comes back. A second one follows it. You have 2 sticky strips hanging from the kitchen ceiling right now. You put them up 3 days ago. They have caught 7 flies between them, and they look so unpleasant that your family eats with their eyes tilted upward, watching them spin slowly whenever someone walks past. You have a can of flying insect spray under the sink. You do not want to spray it near the food. You spray it anyway after everyone leaves the table, and you hold your breath and wonder how long the residue stays in the air above the plates. You spent $18 on fly control products this month. Sticky strips, a spray can, a small plug-in device your neighbor recommended that makes a sound none of you can quite hear, but that all of you find irritating. The flies are still at the table. Now walk into our farmhouse kitchen in location. On the same evening, the back door is open, has been open all day. We have no screens on the east windows. We are half a mile from a cattle pasture. By every measure, our fly situation should be worse than yours. It is not. On the shelf beside the back door, there is a wide-mouthed jar. Inside it, more than 200 flies since Monday. My grandmother set that trap up in 4 minutes using things she pulled from her kitchen shelf. She spent nothing. She has reset it every 4 days every summer for 40 years. The flies that would have been at our table are in that jar. I am name. I farm in location, and on this channel we share the old fixes. Today I'm walking you through the Amish fly trap, why it works better than anything you can buy, how to build it in 4 minutes from what is already in your kitchen, the bait options for every fly type, where to place it for maximum catch, and the honest scope on what it does and does not do. By the end of this video, you will have a trap working tonight that cost you nothing and catches more flies than $18 of hardware store products combined. Most people treat fly problems as a presence problem. The fly is here and needs to be killed or repelled. That framing leads you toward sprays and sticky strips that address individual flies without changing the reason flies are entering in the first place. Flies navigate almost entirely by smell. House flies and fruit flies both detect chemical signals called volatile organic compounds in the air and follow those plumes upwind toward the source with remarkable accuracy. A housefly half a mile away from your kitchen can detect the fermentation compounds your fruit bowl is generating and fly a direct line to your window. Houseflies are attracted to fermentation compounds, decomposition, and the specific volatile alcohols and organic acids produced when any organic material breaks down. The exact same compounds are produced by apple cider vinegar. To a housefly, a jar of apple cider vinegar is chemically indistinguishable from the most attractive food source in the neighborhood. It follows the plume in, enters the jar, lands on the liquid surface, and cannot get back out. Fruit flies are attracted even more specifically to ethanol. The moment a piece of fruit begins to over-ripen, it produces ethanol as its sugars begin fermenting. Fruit flies detect that ethanol from outside your home, enter through the finest gap in your screen or the crack under your door, and follow it to your fruit bowl. Redirect that signal into a trap, and the fruit bowl gets left alone. This is the complete mechanism. No poison, no adhesive, no electricity. The fly's own navigation chemistry, pointed at a container it cannot exit. This is what my grandmother understood, and what the $18 collection of hardware store products does not address. You need 4 things. Every one of them is already in your home right now. 1 glass jar, wide mouth preferred, a mason jar, a pasta sauce jar, a pickle jar, a jam jar. Any glass container with a mouth of at least 2 inches works. Glass outperforms plastic because flies are less deterred by glass surfaces, and the jar can be rinsed and reused indefinitely without retaining odors that confuse the bait signal. 1 piece of paper, any paper, notebook page, printer paper, a page from a magazine, a piece of brown paper bag. It will be rolled into a cone, tape, or a rubber band. Apple cider vinegar and 2 drops of dish soap for the bait. That is everything. Here is the construction. Pour apple cider vinegar into the jar to a depth of approximately 2 inches. Add exactly 2 drops of liquid dish soap, not more. 2 drops reduces the surface tension of the liquid enough that a fly landing on it breaks through immediately, rather than standing on the surface and flying back out. More than 2 drops creates foam that reduces the effectiveness of the bait signal and the liquid trap. Roll the paper into a cone shape. Form it so the wide opening at the top is 2 to 3 inches across, and the opening at the narrow tip is approximately the width of a pencil, 5 to 7 millimeters. This narrow opening is the mechanism. A fly can enter easily because it is approaching from above and following the plume downward into the wide top of the cone. Once inside the jar, the fly instinctively moves upward toward light to escape. It finds the narrow tip of the cone and cannot navigate back through that small an opening from below while flying. It is trapped. Tape the seam of the cone to hold its shape. Place it tip down into the jar mouth so the narrow tip hangs 1 inch above the bait surface. Press the cone snugly into the jar mouth. Tape any gap between the cone edge and the jar rim closed. Any gap is an exit the flies will find and use. Set the trap on a flat surface near where flies are most active. Leave it overnight. In the morning you will have flies in the bait, often dozens. On heavy fly days, more than 100. Apple cider vinegar with dish soap is the standard bait, and it works for house flies in every situation. For specific fly problems, these bait variations improve performance. For fruit flies, add a piece of overripe fruit to the standard bait, a browning banana slice, a soft grape, a piece of strawberry beginning to turn. The overripe fruit adds ethanol fermentation compounds, more specific to fruit fly attraction on top of the acetic acid of the vinegar. For fruit flies, also make the cone tip opening slightly smaller, 3 to 4 millimeters rather than pencil width, because fruit flies are smaller and can navigate back out through a wider opening. For heavy housefly infestations, add 1 tablespoon of sugar to the apple cider vinegar before adding the dish soap. Stir until dissolved. The sugar adds a sweetness signal on top of the fermentation compounds and extends the active life of the bait by several days as the sugar begins a slow fermentation. For the most powerful general bait, use the last half-inch of a bottle of red wine instead of apple cider vinegar. Red wine contains ethanol, acetic acid, and dozens of aromatic esters produced during fermentation that create a multi-compound attractant plume, more complex and more powerful than vinegar alone. If you finish a bottle of wine, do not rinse it. Set it open on the kitchen shelf. It will catch flies on its own within the hour. For zero-ingredient situations, if you have no vinegar and no wine, mix 2 tablespoons of sugar with 1 cup of warm water and add a 1/4 teaspoon of dry baking yeast. Stir gently. Within 2 to 4 hours, the yeast will begin fermenting the sugar, producing ethanol and carbon dioxide. The active fermentation generates a real-time attractant plume that is highly effective and costs literally nothing if you have yeast already. The trap becomes self-baiting as long as the fermentation continues, typically 3 to 5 days per charge. 1 trap placed anywhere catches flies. Correctly placed traps catch many times more. The principle is simple. Flies enter your home following a plume from outside. Place the trap so that its plume is the strongest signal a fly encounters when it enters. Near the primary entry point, back door, kitchen window, any opening that is regularly open during summer. A fly entering this opening is within range of the trap immediately and follows the bait plume to the jar before reaching your table or fruit bowl. Near the fruit bowl. If your fruit bowl is generating the signal drawing flies in, placing the trap within 2 feet of it makes the trap bait signal slightly stronger than the fruit signal at the fly's entry point. The fly follows the stronger signal and ends up in the jar rather than on the fruit. Near the trash can, kitchen waste generates fermentation compounds continuously. A trap placed 18 inches from the trash can intercepts flies drawn to the waste before they disperse through the room. Away from direct sunlight, heat evaporates the bait faster and shortens the active life of each charge. A shaded spot at room temperature keeps the bait working for 3 to 4 days per charge, at counter height, not floor level. Flies in indoor environments navigate at counter height and above. A trap on the floor is below the flight level of the flies you are trying to catch. Put it on the counter, on a shelf, or hang it from a cabinet handle. Refresh the bait every 3 to 4 days. Empty the trap, rinse the jar, add fresh vinegar and 2 drops of soap. Replace the cone. The jar and cone can be reused through the entire summer. The only ongoing cost is the apple cider vinegar. For porches, patios, and outdoor eating areas, the same trap scales up for outdoor use. Use a larger container, a wide-mouth quart jar, a recycled juice jug, or any container with a volume of at least 1 quart. Scale the bait proportionally: 4 to 6 inches of apple cider vinegar, 4 drops of dish soap, 1 tablespoon of sugar for outdoor use, where the plume needs to carry across a wider area. Hang it rather than sitting it flat. Outdoors, flies approach potential food sources at flight height, roughly chest level. A trap hanging from a porch beam at chest height intercepts flies at the level they are actually flying. A trap sitting on a patio table is at the right height, but in the center of the area you want protected rather than at its perimeter. Place it at the perimeter of the area you want to protect, not in the center. A trap at the edge of the porch intercepts flies before they enter the sitting area. A trap in the middle of the patio catches flies that have already arrived and are already bothering your guests. In our farmhouse, my grandmother hung a large jar from the south corner of the back porch every June. It caught the flies approaching from the pasture side before they reached the back door. The kitchen never had a fly problem because the trap caught them at the perimeter before they ever entered. The trap catches flies that have already entered. These habits reduce how many enter to begin with. Overripe fruit is the single largest indoor fly attractor. Refrigerate fruit as it begins to ripen, or place it in a sealed container. Remove the ethanol signal, and the fruit fly pressure drops within 24 hours. Empty kitchen trash before organic material inside begins to decompose. A full trash can with food waste generating decomposition odors is a fly recruitment broadcast that runs continuously until the bag is removed. Empty it daily during summer. Clean kitchen drains weekly. Pour 1 cup of baking soda followed by 1 cup of white vinegar down every kitchen and bathroom drain. Allow 30 minutes, then flush with boiling water. Drain buildup is an active breeding site for drain flies, not just an attractant. Eliminating the breeding site collapses the drain fly population via 1 to 2 weeks. Fix any leaking pipe under sinks or behind appliances. Standing water in dark spaces is a fly breeding site and a moisture attractant that compounds the food odor signals drawing flies in. Keep the area around exterior doors clean of food debris, dropped fruit, and pet waste. The immediate exterior of your entry points should have no organic material generating an attractant signal that draws flies to your door. My grandmother emptied the kitchen waste bin every morning before breakfast, rinsed it, and set it out to dry in the sun. In 40 years, I do not recall a summer where flies were a problem at our kitchen table. The trap on the porch shelf handled what got through. The habits handled the rest. This trap does not repel flies from your home. It catches flies that enter and follow the bait plume. If you have a very large fly source nearby, livestock, a garbage facility, a neighbor's uncovered compost, the trap will catch significant numbers, but will not stop all entry. In those situations, combine the trap with gap sealing around windows and door frames. This trap is not effective for horseflies or deer flies, which navigate by visual movement and carbon dioxide, and are not attracted to fermentation compounds. For biting flies outdoors, a separate carbon dioxide trap or physical protection is needed. The paper cone softens within 1 to 2 weeks from moisture contact with the bait vapor. Replace the cone at that point with a fresh piece of paper. This is the only consumable in the entire system. 1 sheet of paper every 2 weeks through summer. The fly control market in the United States generates over $2 billion annually. Sticky strips, electric zappers, aerosol sprays, commercial bait stations. Every one of these products uses the same fermentation chemistry as this jar trap. Apple cider vinegar, sugar, fermentation compounds. The difference is the packaging, the branding, the retail price point, and the deliberate design of products that stop working quickly enough that you need to buy another one within the month. A commercial sticky strip bait contains approximately 2 cents worth of fermentation attractant chemicals in a package that retails for over $1 per strip. The strip stops working within 2 weeks because the attractant evaporates and the adhesive fills. You buy more. The jar trap's bait costs under 50 cents per charge, lasts 3 to 4 days, and is refreshed in 30 seconds. The jar lasts forever. There is no product to sell you in a jar of apple cider vinegar and a piece of paper. No company is funding advertising to tell you that. There is a great deal of money in making sure you keep buying the strips and the sprays, and believing that the flies coming back means the product worked and wore out, rather than that it was never as effective as what was already in your kitchen. Annual household spending on fly control. Sticky strips replaced every 2 to 3 weeks through a 5-month fly season. Electric zapper purchase. Aerosol sprays. Commercial bait stations. Average household spending, $40 to $70 per summer. Annual cost of the Amish fly trap. Apple cider vinegar, 1 bottle at $2 to $3 covering the full season with bait refreshes every 4 days. Dish soap already owned. Paper already owned. Jar already owned. Annual cost, $2 to $3, 10-year savings, $380 to $670 for a trap that catches more flies, needs no batteries, generates no chemical residue, and is rebuilt in 4 minutes when needed. Go to your kitchen. Find a glass jar, any glass jar. Find a piece of paper. Find your apple cider vinegar. Pour 2 inches of vinegar into the jar. Add 2 drops of dish soap, not more. Roll the paper into a cone, pencil width tip opening. Place it tip down in the jar. Tape the gaps around the rim. Set it on the counter near your back door or near your fruit bowl. That is 4 minutes. That is the complete investment. Go to bed. Come back in the morning and count what is in the jar. Then tell me in the comments how many flies you found and which room in your house has the worst fly problem. And if your grandmother or grandfather had their own fly trap method. The molasses jar, the sticky paper they made at home, the flywheel trap over the outhouse share that memory. Those methods are exactly what disappears when nobody records them. I read every single one. Next time I'm walking you through the Amish fix for mice. How to remove every mouse from your home without poison, without expensive traps, without an exterminator. Using a method that has kept farmhouse grain stores rodent-free for 200 years. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, find the jar, roll the paper, pour the vinegar, add 2 drops of soap, set it by the door, come back in the morning. That is the Amish fix.